This week on ANN, the Adventist Church's largest governing body meets again in only 2.5 years. We'll take a look back at our last meeting.
Yeah, you hear us talk a lot about delegates, but who are they and what do they do?
And we'll share why integrated communication is so important to the World Church.
These stories and more coming up.
Thanks so much for joining us this week. A snowstorm is scheduled to hit the U.S. state of Maryland, where ANN is taped on the day that we normally record.
So, instead of regular news, we have a special program lined up for you today.
That's right. General Conference Session is a global spiritual gathering and a constitutionally required business meeting that has been held every 5 years since 1970.
In addition to serving as a reunion for friends and family and a trade show of ministries, the purpose of session is to vote on global leadership, set the direction for the church for the next 5 years, and vote changes to the Constitution, fundamental beliefs, and church manual.
Tens of thousands of Seventh-day Adventists from around the world traveled to San Antonio, Texas in 2015 to participate in the denomination's 60th General Conference session.
While this was an impressive turnout to the Alamo City, it was small in comparison to the Adventist Church's membership of 20 million people. A vast majority of members were unable to attend the 10-day meeting. Instead, they had to rely on the work of the church's communication team for news from the church's highest governing body.
This week, we'll bring you some of our favorite moments.
At the very first World Session in 1863, only 20 delegates were present. At the 2015 session in San Antonio, there are more than 2,500. ANN's Deborah Anderson explains who the delegates are and how they were selected.
Being a delegate at the GC session is an awesome responsibility. It's an honor to serve the church in such a capacity, as it is the delegates who embark on the most important work of the church.
What do you hope to get out of this as a delegate?
What I hope, the best hope is to our church continue to be united. That's my big hope.
This year, there are 2,566 delegates in total. Their work includes electing leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church and its divisions, voting on changes to fundamental beliefs, amending the church manual, and other issues as they arise. So, who are the delegates and how were they selected? The delegates are broken down to two groups: regular delegates and delegates at large. The regular delegates represent local churches, conferences, and unions made up of pastors, laymen, and elected church officers. Delegates at large represent the General Conference, its divisions, and church institutions. Breaking it down a bit further by age and gender, 6% of the delegates are under the age of 30. The majority of the delegates are between the ages of 30 and 59, while 22% are over the age of 60. A stark contrast can be seen when we break down the delegates by gender. 83% are male, while females make up only 17% of those chosen to serve. So why is the percentage of female delegates so small? The answer is really pretty simple. Church leaders are primarily male, and it is these leaders who are chosen as the delegates. Over time, as more women are elected to church leadership, there will be more women delegates. It is important to note, however, that the delegates are sent by their executive committees rather than being chosen by the General Conference.
I don't think that women are aware of what a low percentage of representatives we have as delegates. Number one, I'm very honored that I am a delegate. I feel very unworthy, to represent God's people. I guess that's my first point of view. But being a female, being a woman, I like that aspect of it because we have a different thoughts. We think differently from men, perhaps, and that would help in the decisions that we can make in this general session.
Delegates put in some pretty long days, starting at 8 in the morning for morning worship and running well into the evening hours. For ANN Video, I'm Deborah Anderson.
General Conference communication officials handed out more than 200 media credentials during session to allow reporters and photographers to cover the event. Of course, many of those represented church-run outlets. As ANN's Jeff Williamson reports, Adventist media sources are working closer than ever before.
In the past, Seventh-day Adventist media from around the world operated on their own. But since the last World Session, there has been an intentional effort to bring church-run media together to send a unified message to all of the faithful.
Integrated media is the trend in the world. As a church, we need to be integrated. We need to share resources. We need to collaborate. We need to work united.
Ana Lopez is from Peru. She and her communications team have embraced the concept of integrated media.
We come all the way from Brazil, which is where the Novo Tempo and Nuevo Tempo is located in Sao Paulo, Brazil. There's like 20 team people working right now to send all the good news to South America.
Media outlets such as the Hope Channel, Adventist Review, and Adventist World Radio are sharing information, content, and news with the General Conference communication team. This content is then distributed to media worldwide.
Well, the idea came from the Bible, but we are trying to put in practice because it's impossible to do our things by ourselves. So we need to collaborate and use all the resources to get one good and ideal point of communicating things.
Integrated media goes beyond just bringing multiple organizations together. It's also about translating content into multiple languages to be delivered on multiple platforms worldwide.
We have people for each one of these media. We have people for TV, we have people for the radio, specifically that they have their own programs from here, developing their own programs and sending them to live from here, from San Antonio.
Oh man, this is a big operation. You have radio, TV, print, internet, social network, web, press conferences, a number of activities all working together.
The ultimate goal is a unified message from a unified church. For ANN Video, I'm Jeff Williamson.
Whew. Look, anytime you plan an event in the middle of July in South Texas, you can expect outdoor temperatures to be, well, hot.
Very hot. So how do you beat the heat? ANN's Julio Munoz shows us how.
Every day there's a great migration that takes place. Many of the 65,000 delegates, special visitors, technical staff migrate here from the cool, air-conditioned comforts of the Alamo Dome to the convention center via the sweltering Texas heat. Right now it's about 91 degrees Fahrenheit or about 33 Celsius with a fair share of humidity. So wanted to talk to some of the people and see how they're coping with the heat. What do you think of the heat and what are you doing to keep cool?
Well, the heat to me is not yet quite unbearable.
What about if they had a swimming pool or a fountain right here? Would that be good? Would you use it?
Well, I'm not quite sure, maybe because of those of us who are traveling, you know, from perhaps, well, maybe if we thought about it.
Problem is inside the building, it's too cold in there.
Too cold in there?
It's too cold in there for me.
Oh my goodness. We're going to have to do something about that. Can you tell I'm sweating?
But I am enjoying it, and that's why the hair is up.
Okay. So what are some hair tips maybe for people that are having,
Just get it up and, off your neck.
So I've been talking to some people that have been telling me that this weather is actually quite pleasant.
I'm from ESD, from Russia.
From Russia?
Yes.
So what do you think of the weather here? I was talking to somebody from Caribbean.
Very hot.
Not too hot, they said.
Very hot. Only hot inside.
Yeah.
Very hot.
How do you stay cool?
Listen and go to preach.
I'm here with my friend Janet and Phyllis, taking a break from the heat. Nice breeze here, right?
Yes.
So maybe we can just sit here and just enjoy the breeze and take a rest. So what's the secret to beating the heat here in San Antonio?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Then we'll have to get some ice cream.
Exactly.
So I survived. I walked from the Dome to the convention center and back. And there you heard it from the people attending the weather. It's kind of warm, and so lots of things. We heard a lot. Drink water. Very important. Do what you can to keep cool. For Adventist News Network, this is Julio Munoz.
Why do some call session a big family reunion? We'll find out after the break.
May I work in with you, young fella?
Yeah. Go for it.
That's the way you do it. Got to put a little weight on it. Well, I'll put it back up here for you.
Welcome back.
Our World Session is frequently referred to as a big family reunion.
That's right. And the Seventh-day Adventist family has members in 216 of the world's 237 countries.
One of the best things to see is the beautiful display of culture from all over the globe. Noel Sibanda has more.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church is a worldwide organization with a membership spanning over 18 million baptized members. And to see these believers coming from different continents with different cultures just to come together to worship as a family is something to marvel at. The Sabbath mood was electric for the first combined Sabbath of the 60th General Conference session of the World Seventh-day Adventist Church. Believers came from all corners of the world just to worship their Messiah together as a family. Dressed in different colorful regalia representing different countries and cultures, the saints converged into the 60,000-seater stadium for what was to be the Sabbath to remember. For most of the people, it was an inspiration to fellowship with thousands of other believers from across the globe, a sign that indeed the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a global family.
I enjoy worshiping with other Seventh-day Adventists worldwide. It's so great to be here to see so many people. It's like a homecoming.
It's like a family that we are together.
It's great to worship with other believers.
Hey, I'm so thankful because I have the chance to fellowship with the whole Adventist world, Adventist Church in the whole world.
I find that I'm in a family and people don't have to look like me, but we're just all God's children. I love it.
Mr. Tyre is from Malaysia, and I'm so happy to be here to fellowship with you today.
It's a privilege to be here this morning on this blessed Sabbath day to meet all the worldwide brothers and sisters in Christ, and it's a happy thing to be here.
It was very special, and it's a wonderful experience to be with the World Church, and this is just a preview of what's going to be in heaven.
It's a blessing, fellowshipping together, knowing that we are truly a children of God.
One mission, only one God. I love this. This place, we feel the presence of the Holy Spirit.
A moving testimony was that of one of the oldest church members who have been attending the General Conference session since the age of 6.
When I was 6 years old, I attended my first General Conference. And ever since then, I've been attending General Conferences. They're wonderful, marvelous, meeting people from all over the world. The large globe that showed stars where people were. The Lord has blessed me. I'm a flying missionary. I spent years in the Philippines.
Such an experience gives us reminiscence of what heaven will be like. We praise God for these testimonies, and as we prepare for His second coming, I surely can't imagine how it's going to look like when we get to heaven, but I surely want to be there. If you want to be there too, catch me then if you can. For the Adventist News Network, I'm Noel Sibanda reporting from San Antonio in Texas.
Seventh-day Adventists are known for their healthy lifestyle. Early one morning during the 2015 General Conference session, they got a chance to prove it. The church sponsored a 5K fun run to raise awareness about childhood obesity and exercise. ANN's Deborah Anderson was up at sunrise to capture the action.
And while you were still asleep, you can see the hundreds of people that joined this morning for the 5K fun race.
More than 2,500 runners arrived around 6 this morning in downtown San Antonio.
We walk out almost every morning, and this is just part of the routine, and it's great, healthy activity.
Event coordinators Kasha Reinhardt and Peter Landis say that the registration for the fun run exceeded their expectations.
I think the whole reason of this really is to send a strong message to the city of San Antonio that we are here, yes, for a big convention, but we care about the city. And we really want to do what we can to share a message of hope and wholeness. Why is it important to be physically active? San Antonio has a huge issue with diabetes, obesity, and chronic disease. So it's an effort that we're doing to raise awareness about that particular topic. We're working with the City Health Department, in fact, And what follows the race is actually the Health Expo. We're doing 4 Health Expos this week in collaboration with the City of San Antonio.
Time constraints prevented General Conference President Ted Wilson from joining the race, but his wife Nancy, well, she was a willing participant.
I have full confidence she will finish without difficulty on my behalf.
Before they left, Elder Wilson offered a prayer of protection over the runners.
Now bless all of these who have gathered, those who are older, those who are younger. We are all in this together to show that your plan, your method alone is the appropriate one, and that you wish for us to be in good health just as we are in spiritual health.
It didn't take long for the winner. Envidio Sanchez came in first at 18 minutes 45 seconds. The first female to cross the finish line was Jannery Hernandez from Panama. She came in at 20 minutes 43 seconds. General Vice President Delbert Baker is also an accomplished marathon runner.
I pushed it hard and got about 25 minutes. My goal was to get under 30 minutes.
NAD Ministerial Director Ivan Williams says it was a great day for a race.
How was it this morning? Oh, it was awesome. The sun hasn't really come out in its full measure, but it was great. I was motivated by so many running.
So they tell me that if you want to be a winner, you have to surround yourself with winners. This morning, I'm a winner. For ANN Video, I'm Deborah Anderson.
Parents who brought their children to San Antonio were thankful for a church-sponsored day camp that provided a healthy dose of exercise and trips to local San Antonio attractions. ANN's Deborah Anderson joined the fun.
Hundreds of children accompanied their parents to session, but often they're left with nothing to do. To ensure that that wasn't the case this year, the Southwestern Union made some special arrangements for children ages 9 through 17. Union youth leaders have planned 4 days of vigorous activity for some 200 children. Elvis Moody is the Union's Young Adult and Youth Ministries director. He says it has been a great week.
The Lord has been kind. We share with our counselors to be very prayerful. Be cautious. You're dealing with precious cargo. People's children are gifts from God. So everyone has worked hard. The bus schedules are running here and there, but everything has run smooth.
This is the first time Bethany Krause has been to day camp during session.
Well, we went to Six Flags, to a water park, to SeaWorld. It was awesome.
15-year-old Kyla Watkins says she's had the time of her life.
Just to be able to go to all the places in 1 week, just because, like, you know, normally, like, you take a vacation, you can go to that one place, and, like, it's just awesome. And so, like, just going to all these places in 1 week, it's, like, it's exciting.
And it wasn't just the kids having fun. For ANN Video, I'm Deborah Anderson.
We hope you've been inspired to attend the 2020 General Conference session in the U.S. state of Indiana. The dates will be June 24 to July 4th, 2020.
We will keep you up to date with all the details and developments as we get closer to the date. You can also visit session.adventist.org for more information.
Coming up, Emily Mistrapa is here with some highlights from this year's Global Youth Day.
But up next, find out why Adventists gather in a mall in Brazil.
Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go and gather all the Jews who are in Susa together, and pray and fast for me. Do not eat or drink anything for 3 days and nights. I and my maidens will fast as you do. After that, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish.
Welcome back.
People in Manaus, Brazil don't go to the Manguara Mall Theater to watch movies.
But let's go to the mall and see how Adventists in this city do church.
Adventist Mission has more.
Adrianopolis is a neighborhood located in the south of Manaus, Brazil. This is one of the most affluent areas of the Amazonian capital. As you walk through the neighborhood, you will notice fancy hotels and large shopping centers. The lifestyle of the people generally revolves around work and consumerism. Shopping centers are a popular attraction for city dwellers, and the Manawara Mall is one of the best in town. Although you would never imagine finding a church inside this plaza, that's exactly where many members and guests come to worship each Sabbath.
Nós estamos dentro de shopping.
We're inside a mall. It's one of the largest in town, and this fact alone makes this place unique. Some people won't attend a regular church, so they have come to the mall. There are many guests here that didn't go to church before, but as they arrived at the mall, they found our theater church, and they liked it, and remained here.
Adrianopolis, like many neighborhoods in large Brazilian cities, represents a huge challenge for mission. A secular and postmodern lifestyle has caused many in the city to forget the love of Jesus. This is the last district of Manaus without an Adventist congregation. It is challenging for a traditional church to enter an affluent area due to the high cost of real estate. These meetings first began in a hotel auditorium nearby, and now they meet in the mall theater. This new and creative approach to location and worship style attracted the interest of shoppers who wanted to learn more about the church and the Bible.
O fato de nós estarmos congregando.
As a result of our decision to congregate inside a mall theater, this opened the door to several new people who attend here.
Our worship style is a little different. We offer praise and worship through music. It's very lively and energetic. We have Sabbath school in small groups, and even our dress is more relaxed and informal by losing the tie and suit jacket. It's easier to relate to visitors from a different lifestyle and social class this way. People shopping at the mall look just like the people who are sitting in church. They feel like they belong when we don't look too different from them.
The sign at the theater entrance reads, "New time, free entrance." It's an intriguing invitation to some and a familiar reminder of Hope Channel, a countrywide television ministry where show hosts often invite viewers to visit churches like this.
I felt embraced with love, and all I wanted to know, all my questions were properly addressed in proportion to my needs.
In an effort to attract a greater diversity of people at the theater church, Adventists in the community forged relationships through a special group called the Class of Friends. In this group, people have the opportunity to familiarize themselves with biblical teachings and ask important questions.
Our Class of Friends is attended by about 60 students. You see people taking baby steps, coming to the mall and finding a study group. So they slowly move closer, and all of a sudden, they begin attending church with us and get involved in mission. There's a great fulfillment as we observe visitors first learning the Bible and then becoming a part of this community.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting AdventistMission.org. Then click on the videos at the top.
For This Week in Social Media, Emily Mastrapa is here to tell us about Global Youth Day.
Find out what happens when kids from all around the world set time apart to be the sermon.
We are so excited about all the amazing stories we read from Global Youth Day. On March 17, young adults from all over the world went into their communities to be the sermon. From Fiji to Mexico, young adults from around the globe were working together to serve. We made over 50 million impressions across social media by using the hashtag GYD18. Use that hashtag to see pictures and get inspired by those who were involved. This year's focus was on food and water drives. We watched videos of young adults in the Philippines distributing food to people on the streets. Some churches even printed Global Youth Day labels for their water bottles they gave out. And in addition to giving out food and water, a church in Ghana just distributed clothes and gave free medical screenings. The General Conference Youth Department encouraged the youth to take an aerial picture of their group in the shape of a heart after their food and water distribution. We saw so many amazing pictures of that. The Youth Department selected some of their favorites and are asking you to vote for your favorite. Head to the Global Youth Day Facebook page to cast your vote. Thank you to everyone that was involved in Global Youth Day this year and for making it so great. We'll see you next year.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
The Adventist Church in Scandinavia made changes to its structure.
And a new publishing house in Peru was formed.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. And in this week, 87 years ago, March 18 through 22 of 1931, a special session of the Scandinavian Union Conference was held. The session took important decisions about the Church's work in the Scandinavian and Baltic countries, Denmark, including Greenland and the Faroe Islands, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. Among the decisions taken were to create 2 unions instead of 1. The Scandinavian Union was split into the East Nordic and the West Nordic Union conferences. The session also decided to create 2 conferences instead of 1 in Denmark, which was in the West Nordic Union. They created the East Denmark and the West Denmark conferences. 61 years later, in 1992, the West Nordic Union was wound up, with Denmark separated from Norway and created a separate union. As of September 30, 1917, the Danish Union of Churches had a membership of 2,450, worshipping in 45 congregations. Interestingly, the countries that once formed the Scandinavian Union today constitute 4 separate unions and have a total membership of 14,500. On March 18, 1920, a new Adventist publishing house was organized in Lima, Peru, printing in Spanish for distribution in the countries of the Inca Union Conference, which comprised the Spanish-speaking countries of the northern Andes region in South America. The publishing house functioned until December 30, 1926, when it was merged with the Buenos Aires publishing house in Argentina, which from 1927 onwards served Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru, as well as Argentina. Today, this publishing house is the Asociación Casa Editora Sudamericana, which serves all the Spanish-speaking countries of the South American division except for Chile, and last year printed 3.7 million books and magazines. That was This Week in Seventh-day Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos. Then write up a summary of the event's important details. And feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us always by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Before we go, we want to share some good news from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 7 and 8. Elroy, would you read that?
Sure. The passage says, "But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit."
Amen. What a beautiful promise. Well, that's our program for this week. Remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.